Good morning. Hi there. Well, it was great to see everybody socializing. I really like that. So that makes me feel like 30 minutes of coffee time is a good thing. Hi, I'm Mindy Tate, CEO of Franklin Amara, and welcome to the July 11th Frank Talks, Faces and Voices covering Williamson County and Franklin. And this is a great turnout for a July day. It's a little warm. I've got this great card from our friends at Williamson Medical Center and Bone and Joint that I'm just going to delicately fan myself as we go through this day. But welcome and thank you to Columbia State Community College for always being a gracious host in having us for Frank Talks. And how many of you this is your first time on campus? Wow, what a great turnout. And I know a lot of you have had interest in seeing more of the campus. I saw people looking at the electronic map and everything. And Mary Beth Shalley back there and Rick Graham, where are you? They would be love to give you tours of the campus after this event or talk to you more about the campus and what's going on. You can see some construction on the west side of the campus, and they'd love to give you a tour and let you know about Columbia State Community College, one of Williamson County's greatest assets. I don't have the, I don't have the, there it is. Should have the thing that moves the program along. So we'll talk more about this, but I also want to say thank you to Williamson Medical Center and Renaissance Bank for being our partners in presenting this, and you'll hear a little bit from them in a minute. But first, I'm going to bring up, we have a little fun game. Tom Lawrence, you can't answer. I heard I can't answer. We have a little fun game called Did You Know with our Franklin Amara board member, Nancy Conway, who's also on the board of the foundation here at Columbia State. So come on up, Nancy, and give us, Did you know? And the first person to raise their hand and get the answer right gets a prize.
Thank you, Mindy, and good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. This is a great occasion. Mindy and the staff and everyone do a tremendous job, but I can't tell you how much we appreciate coming from Franklin Amara to Columbia State Community College. We're here today at this college, this campus. But I can't stress enough how important this college is to Franklin and to the entire community, providing higher education to many people and many other opportunities that they provide as well. Now, here's your quiz question. So, how many locations has Columbia State Community College had here in Franklin, including this location? Mayor Moore. Okay, who was after Mayor Moore?
I believe that Robert was after.
I was going to say 3.
And you are correct.
You are correct, Robert.
Okay. Now, for those of you that don't know where 3 locations were, give him a prize, please.
He gets plenty of prizes, okay?
Okay. Your first location was the former Bell South building in Independence Square. Yes, it was a small building, and the college moved there in 1986, and we outgrew it rapidly. After being there one semester, I remember I got a call saying, Nancy, find us another location. So I did. And then 1 year later, being 1987, we moved to the Yates Vocational Building close to Franklin High School. And then May of 2016, the college came here. So that's just a brief history. Thank you all.
Well, I guess we should have disqualified the mayor as well, since if you look around, that's the Mayor Ken Moore Oval, and there's the Dr. Ken and Linda Moore conference room over on this hallway. a little bit. But Nancy's a great person to do a Did You Know, because Nancy knows everything about Williamson County for her many years with the Franklin Williamson County Chamber and now the Williamson Inc. And so we appreciate her graciously doing our quiz question each month. And so let me just explain. The Bell South Building in Independence Square was the dry cleaner for a while, and now it's an exercise studio or something like that. And the Claude Yates Vocational Center is where the Williamson County Schools Entrepreneur Center is now, near the Franklin High School. And so just thought I'd give you that other version of that. So thank you so much. Again, I mentioned our great partners at Williamson Medical Center and Renaissance Bank. And we want to show you a quick video from Williamson Medical Center, and then Lindsay Sullivan from Williamson Medical Center and Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee will come up and give us a little talk. Great.
It's changed my world in how I perform surgery.
Robotics enhances the surgeon's capability.
It's mimicking your own hand inside the patient.
Because it's minimally invasive, our incisions are much smaller, so less pain.
Computer assistance, robotics, augmented reality, these are all the wave of the future.
Williamson Medical Center was early in the adoption of robotics, much sooner than downtown hospitals. That's very important, because what that means is that Williamson Medical Center is investing in their patient care.
We're very, very proud to say that we are one of the first to provide this technology to our community and our patients here. Robotic surgery and navigation systems, we are able to have a more detailed view of the patient's anatomy, and we're also able to provide precise hand movements during the procedure.
As a general surgeon, I do a lot of abdominal surgery with this. We have gynecologists who are able to do surgery with it, thoracic surgeons are able to, urologists have been using it. If I want to do something with my hands, then it requires an incision at least as big as my hand. The robot lets us do that through incisions that are 3/4 of an inch.
It lets me do 4 small incisions about the size of your thumb, or the width of your thumb, and went from this big incision to these 3 or 4 little incisions, and people going home the same day or the next day.
So very similar to a GPS map app on your phone that can tell you exactly where you are on the earth. Robotics has that tool to tell us exactly where we are and where we want to be in surgery.
We live in a world of millimeters instead of a world of yards or feet, and so every millimeter can make a difference. If I'm putting an implant in, I want to make sure that it's in the best position possible to allow for longevity.
We do have patients tell us that robotics are intimidating, and they get concerned that is the surgeon doing the surgery. And what I try to tell the patients is, remember that robotics is a tool. It's a tool that augments the surgeon, or you may say enhances the surgeon's capabilities.
The robot is an instrument that I control. I'm always in the room. I'm never more than 5 feet from the patient. I don't leave and let the robot do anything. I'm not doing surgery from home. I'm there with the patient the entire time.
One of the benefits of being a pioneer in a field is that other people don't know the technology. At our National Academy of Orthopedic Surgery, I lead a course every year on advancements in technology and how to use it. We bring surgeons into our hospital, not to assist in surgery, but to view and see how we do things.
Medicine and technology is continuously evolving, so that means we will too.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Lindsay Sullivan from Bone and Joint Institute and Williamson Medical Center. And as you saw, we have some great technology at the hospital, and we're starting a campaign with advanced surgical technology. So we have 2 robots and 1 navigation or kind of GPS system that we use. So we are having an event next Tuesday, July 19th. And if you take your fan, okay, and just look at it for a minute. It has details on the event that we are having over at the hospital. We're having an in-person event, which we're really excited about. But we have 4 of our surgeons speaking on the different technologies. So speaking on the Da Vinci and the Mako and Exactech GPS. There will be light refreshments, from 9 to 11:30, and then speakers. We're also raffling off a set of AirPods, so come and please join in. And then also Kindness Matters t-shirts with our new campaign for the hospital. So there is a QR code right here on the bottom of your fan. And if you just kind of do that, kind of hover over it, you can go to the website where you can register, or just come along. Come and you can come and go. You don't have to be there for the full 2.5 hours. I know it's a busy day, being the 19th, but we're excited, and we hope that you can come and join us. Any questions? And you also get to play with the robots. I didn't mention that. They are fully interactive. Of course, they're not real patients, I promise you. But you can come. We have all of the demo robots coming from actually different parts of the country. So, and they're big. They're huge. We actually have to remove the doors, the sliding doors of the hospital to get said robots in the door. But we are really excited to showcase this and have you be able to see what is potentially going to help you in the OR. So, thank you.
Okay, so our friends at Renaissance Bank, Tony, are those foxes on your socks? Are you competing with the mayor? Okay, well, we want to thank them, and we have Tony Sharp and Diane LeBlanc here from Renaissance, and thank you, Diane, for being a Franklin Tomorrow board member. We appreciate your service, and if you're interested in being a Franklin Tomorrow board member, I'd love to have coffee with you or talk with you and tell you a little bit more about what's going on with our organization and what our 25-member board of directors is involved in. We've got several past board members here, but I'm going to do the Renaissance video, and you can keep your eyes open for this one. There's nothing it's funny, okay? There's funny today, so here we go. No robot. They have no robots. No robots.
We're getting killed out there.
We have to quit.
Quit? Y'all want to quit? It's about to last a little longer than usual. Y'all ready to throw in the towel?
It's the 5th overtime.
They've been putting over 90 on us every day since May.
Summer just feels different. Like it's not letting up.
So that's it. 200-some years we've been fighting this heat. Y'all ready to just give up? We can do this. It's in our DNA. It's in our blood.
Yeah, about that. I don't think Louisiana has any blood left. Mosquitoes ate them up.
So you're gonna let a couple of mosquito bites get you down? What would the other states think of y'all?
Actually, I ran into New York a couple days ago, and she said the high was 81 degrees.
Can you imagine?
I have the most beautiful scarf that I would wear. It's so soft.
Enough! Listen to yourselves. Whining about a couple of extra degrees.
I hate to be that state, but, humidity.
It's not that bad.
No, Coach, it's pretty bad.
Okay, fine. We're on a roll now. Anybody else have something they'd like to complain about? Florida, how about you?
I'm actually just a smidge cold.
You know you can't ask her.
Do you want me to ask Florida man? Because this heat ain't getting to him. We all are sitting in here complaining. He's in an abandoned radio shack wrestling an alligator.
Sorry, Coach. Just feels like this summer's never gonna end.
You know what? This heat might never go away. I know that's not what you want to hear, but deep down, you know it to be true. But I know that each and every one of you have trick-or-treated in sweat-drenched costumes, deep-fried turkeys and your skin on Thanksgiving, and prayed that the Christmas tree won't spontaneously combust. You didn't let the heat stop you then. And you're not going to let it stop you now, are you?
No.
The worst is behind us. Because after that sweltering heat comes what?
Fall.
And with fall comes a reward for our suffering. Anybody want to remind me what that is?
Football!
This is our moment. We do what no other states can. Now let's get out there and show that heat what the South is really about.
Can we stay in the AC a little longer?
Oh yeah, we're not going back out there till they need us.
Renaissance Bank, the best bank in the South. Visit renaissancebank.com to learn more.
So thanks to the Good Food Group for our coffee. We love that. We appreciate them. And Jamon Daughtry and Terry Rinke, we appreciate them for supporting us with that. And now on to our program. So I'm so glad to introduce this panel of faces and voices covering Williamson County and Franklin. Some have been here a while, some have been here a little bit, and then some are maybe a little newer faces, but we really have a great panel this morning, and I'll introduce them, and then I'm going to let them tell you a little bit about their publication or media outlet, and then we'll come back with some questions you've submitted if we have time for that, and go from there. But first, we have Derby Jones, who's the publisher of the Williamson Herald. We have Cassie Jones, who is the co-publisher of the Williamson Herald and Southern Exposure. We've got Tom Lawrence, the voice of Williamson County from WAKM AM 950. If you don't know what WAKM AM 950, when you leave here, I want you to put your radio on this morning. Shelley Robertson Birdsong, who is the co-publisher of Your Williamson, and Donna Visman, who is with Williamson Source. And we are so excited. And I'm going to start on, Donna, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to start down there and come this way. How about that? But so just maybe take the mic out of the stand, and it's easier probably to pass it back. And I'm going to introduce you this morning to Donna Visman. Yes, it should be on.
Well, hello. Thank you for having me, Mindy. I was shocked she called me, and I was so excited. She probably can tell you I was like, what? You want me to come? Because I know this is a big tradition in Franklin, and I'm excited to be here. I've lived in Williamson County for 25 years, and anybody mark time by the age of your children? That's how I had to figure out how long we've been here. And my oldest is 22 now. But before that, I lived in the Nashville area, and I came to college here and decided to stay. So I feel like I've been here a long time, and I've seen a lot of things change. I kind of remember the opening of Cool Springs Galleria. That was a big thing. That was a big outing for us to come here. And so my kids have been all attended Williamson County schools. I have one son who's here at Columbia State right now. So I feel like I have spent a lot of time in the community. Williamson Source, we're an online lifestyle publication. We're only online. We give information about events and new things coming. I do something a little bit different than maybe some of my other counterparts who I respect gratefully, and we're all really great friends, is I do the Facebook Live. So I've been doing that for a little while, and I know some people, it's so strange to me because I started with Williamson Source when it started about 11 years now. And we have grown so much, it's so strange to me sometimes when people recognize me when I'm out, and I'm like, oh, yeah. That's me. That was me doing that Facebook Live. But that is something that we've kind of, that's kind of one of our little niches that we like to do. We like to do a lot of little, probably more lifestyle-oriented type things. We try to keep our, all of our stories more light, so to speak. Is that what you're looking for?
That's what I'm looking for.
All right. Here you go.
I'm Shelley Robertson Birdsong. I am the owner and co-publisher at Robertson Media Group. We publish Your Williamson magazine, Distinctively Southern Wedding magazine, and YourSumner.com magazine online. I have lived in Franklin for almost my entire life, so about 43 years.
Do you want us to do math? Or
no, don't do that. Don't do that. I have a 3.5-year-old at home, so I get to lie. I lie about my age all the time. Anyway, I've lived here most of my life in Franklin. Grew up here and went to school out of town and out of state. Came back right here to Franklin and have never left. So I started Robertson Media Group 11 years ago. and had previously worked for another magazine publishing company that was out of Jackson, Tennessee, called VIP Magazine. And so I ran VIP Williamson and VIP Murfreesboro, and then subsequently ended up leaving there and starting my own business. And they turned over Your Williamson, or actually VIP Williamson, to me, and it became Your Williamson, and we've been in business ever since. We are a lifestyle, business, social, community publication focused on all of those things going on in Williamson County and the surrounding areas. News, events, coverage, all the things that are relevant to living in Williamson County. And we're very content focused, so lots of stories about great people doing great things in our community, organizations, fundraisers and special events. Those are the things that we focus on. So we aren't really hard news, but we try to showcase all the good and the great that's going on here, which thankfully for us, there's plenty to talk about and plenty to showcase in Williamson County. We also have a bridal magazine, Distinctively Southern Wedding, which has been in publication for about 3 years. And it actually covers all of Middle Tennessee, so about 6 counties as far as content for that magazine, and it comes out twice a year. We also have online platforms of social media and websites where we have community news, an e-blast that goes out twice a week. So we're really all about making sure you're in the know about what's going on in Williamson County.
So Shelley, you have 2 special guests here. So would you introduce your special guest? I know you have some of your staff, but you have 2 really special guests.
So the staff loves an excuse to leave the office and come somewhere. I'm teasing. I'm happy to have Emma Chenault here. She is our Director of Integrated Media, and I have Amelia Smith here, who's our Managing Editor. I have my daughter, Keeling Birdsong, who is on hiatus from school this summer and camp this week, so she's joining us. And then last but not least, my husband, Johnny Birdsong, who is the co-publisher and owner of the magazine. He should stand up.
Yes, make him
and be recognized. He doesn't want to be on the panel for some reason, doesn't want the heat.
I set a chair for him, but he refused to join us. So
and I forget, Hope Waldridge, who is an intern from Kentucky, she is starting this morning. This was her first thing that she got to do today, so we welcome her too.
Johnny is channeling Robert Hicks this morning. You don't see many people wear seersucker these days, but he's rocking it today. My name's Tom Lawrence. I'm proud of my age. I'm 72 years of age. I will not lie about my age because you can look at me and kind of tell. Anyway. Been in broadcasting 53 years. All of them except for one has been spent right here. 2009, I took a year off. Lipscomb had promised me a job teaching. I took that job. I thought I was headed to Granny White. No.
No.
I headed to the People's Republic of China. And Tony, if you think it's hot around here, the first day I got there, this was in Wuhan, China, home of the coronavirus. It was, and it was 11 years ago, oh goodness, tomorrow. It was 119 degrees Fahrenheit. And they had those freshmen out in their military uniforms. And I learned how to count in Chinese and over that 6-week period. E-R-San, around the clock. Williamson County is a wonderful place. Make no mistake about it. Everybody you see up here are business people. If you don't support your local media, you're going to lose your local media, and you don't want to count on the Tennessean, do you, Derby? You know, support your local media. It's a whole lot cheaper than the Nashville media, and if you're a political candidate spending those big bucks on Channel 5, shame on you. Shame on you.
Well, now, Tom, how old is WAKM? And What does AM 950 mean? I mean, I don't know.
It means old-fashioned radio. We spend a lot of time working on news. We try to be attentive to good news, but sometimes we just can't help it. We have to look at the bad news. And there is some bad news out there. I can't think of any this very moment, but with the mayor of Franklin sitting over here, there's one politician. There's a former mayor of Spring Hill. There's two politicians.
Brandy's here.
No, she's not a politician.
Oh.
Any candidates in here?
Alina's here, Alina Bell.
That's right, Alina Bell running for school board. See, more good news. WAKM Radio does not agree with Dr. Larry Arnn. Let's make that perfectly clear. We love our school teachers. And I ain't running for nothing, Brandy. And I ain't running for nothing but the county line. But be very careful. You get hooked on WAKM. It's hometown radio. It's so grassroots, it's seedy. We love our customers. We appreciate our customers, but our listeners are something special to us. For instance, we used to report suicides a long time ago. Not a long time ago, 15 years ago, until a member of our family committed suicide. We didn't know what was going on. We found out what was going on. It's too personal now. We're not going to report suicides ever again. And Lord knows there's enough of them to report. We can report that there have been 36 people to throw themselves off the Big Mac Bridge. That is news. The police chief of the city of Franklin has done a wonderful job. The mayor of Franklin has done a wonderful job drawing attention to the fact that we have a suicide problem. Why? I don't know. I do know that what is happening on the Big Mac Bridge today is past due, isn't it, Mayor? Hopefully it'll make it suicide-proof. And it's not just the Big Mac Bridge. It's a problem all over Williamson County. Yeah, those are the kinds of statistics that you'll hear. We reported this morning about the plague of gun thefts we have, particularly at Cool Springs Galleria. Out in the county, it's not so much of a problem. You'd be surprised how few people steal guns in Leaper's Fork. But in Franklin and Brentwood, it's a problem. So if you're packing this morning, and you shouldn't be because we're on a state campus, but if you carry a gun in your car, please make sure it is locked twice if you can.
So I'll get Tom to tell you a little bit later about some of the unique programming, but if you ever need to know who's passed away, you can tune in to the morning news and they will read the obituaries on the radio as well.
I'll say one more thing, then I'll shut up. Everybody deserves to have their name on the radio at least once.
So Cassie Jones is the publisher of Southern Exposure magazine, and along with Derby, they have the Williamson Herald as well. But Cassie is also a Franklin Amara board member. So thank you, Cassie.
Well, first of all, Mindy, you've already thrown me a curveball because I sat here purposely so I wouldn't have to follow Tom, and then she started down here, so that strategy didn't really work. But yeah, I am very proud to be a board member of Franklin Tomorrow, and I appreciate Mindy giving us this opportunity. I am the publisher of Southern Exposure magazine. We'll be celebrating 20 years this December. So I think that makes us the longest running magazine in Williamson County, and we're very proud of that. I've been in publishing about 30 years. I went to Western Kentucky University, got a degree in advertising and marketing with an emphasis on journalism, and from there I went to the Courier-Journal newspaper in Louisville Spent about 7 years there, and then transferred to the Tennessean, which is where I met my husband, Derby. I say all this just to give you a little history of how I wound up at Southern Exposure, but took a break for about 4 years. I transferred from the Career Journal, actually, to the Tennessean, met Derby, took a break for a few years to get my youngest in kindergarten after we had kids, and then Derby said, "You've got to come back. You know, I can't keep people. I hire these young people. They don't stay. You can just work with Brandy. You can work from home. It'll be fine." And so we all see how that ended up. It's going to be a part-time gig, you know, a couple hours a week, whatever. So anyway, ended up being able to work side by side with Brandy from 2012 to 2018. Worked with the Herald, but also predominantly worked with Brandy on Southern Exposure, and then took over as publisher when she pursued an opportunity at High Hopes. So, you know, Southern Exposure is really just kind of focuses on community. It's all about local business. It's about nonprofits in town. It's about local businesses, and just kind of really highlighting what is important in this community. We like to kind of celebrate unsung heroes, people that might not normally get the recognition that they deserve. That's kind of something that's near and dear to my heart. That's actually my favorite part of this job, is just to be able to shine a spotlight on those people in this community that deserve to be recognized.
Deborah Jones.
All right. My boss right here, Cassie Jones. But yes, my name is Derby Jones, publisher and owner of the Williamson Herald. I'm from Johnson City, Tennessee. I moved to Nashville in '94 to work at the big paper, the Tennessean. My family was in newspaper business up in Johnson City and a few papers across the state. And my dad says, you need to go work for the big dogs before you come back to work in Johnson City. And then during that time, my family sold the business and got out of it. And I remained in Nashville and worked at the Tennessean for about 13 years. And then I had an opportunity to invest in a company that was looking to buy the Williamson Herald. Well, the Williamson Herald was started by Mindy Tate. She had a vision for the for the newspaper. If you're from Franklin, you probably remember the Review Appeal. God rest his soul. Tennessean came in and bought the Review Appeal, I want to say 2003, 2004, Mindy? 2004. 2004. And they immediately started kind of changing it and morphing it into their Tennessean products. And they kind of lost the hometown feel. So Mindy put together an investment group of local business people. I think it was real important to keep it local. And they started the Williamson Herald in 2005. So along 2006, those 4 local businessmen, all successful, said, you know, newspaper business is pretty hard and it's pretty expensive. We're going to get out and let Mindy find somebody else to run it. And
thank you so much. Yes.
So I went in with a group called Main Street Media. We bought the Herald. With my investment came a job, so I became publisher then. Around 2011, Cassie and I purchased the paper outright from Main Street Media, and it's been our paper ever since. It's about as homegrown, locally owned as you can get. It's family owned. It's me and my wife. Our LLC is CMD Publishing, and that stands for Cassie, Maggie, Derby, who are my family. But I've always been passionate about local news. I grew up in the newspaper business. I've always been passionate about the community that I'm in. Being involved is very important. I think having a local community newspaper is very, very important. We publish every Thursday in print, but we do digital news every day. So I think that's it in the quick spill.
All right. Well, so some of you submitted questions. I did have somebody ask me if they could ask the first question. Here you go.
This is get even time. Not really. I tried to think up a trick question for the group, but I'm going to be easy on you, just like Tom Lawrence is easy on me. But first of all, thank you for the great job you do in our community in getting the word out about what's happening in Franklin, and the way you handle it very, very professionally. But my question really is, just requires a short answer, is what's the biggest story in your mind that you've broken since you've been in the media?
Tom, do you want to go first, or Derby, anybody? Or biggest event you've covered, or what you consider a memorable moment in your media coverage?
Any number of floods in the city of Franklin. 1975, 2010. 2010 was a whopper, but 1975 was actually larger, infected more people, and there were a whole lot fewer people in Franklin at that particular time. 1975, we lost one. Lost a little 8-year-old girl out off of Carter's Creek Pike. That was difficult. Big news really doesn't happen in Franklin like it would in other places. Franklin has always been run very well, sometimes better than others. Right now we're kind of on a roll. But from that standpoint, the news here is interesting because it can get emotional. People get emotional about our schools. People get emotional about the money coming out of their back pocket for taxes or anything. But when you have stories that affect people, especially when people lose their homes, that's big news.
Derby or Cassie? Derby?
Well, I will say, I want to mention we bought the Herald in 2006. I didn't know anybody in Williamson County. I was a newbie. Like I said, I grew up in East Tennessee. I went to UT and moved to Nashville in '94, but I really did not have relationships and had spent much time in Williamson County, other than we moved to Williamson County in 2005 also because of schools and that sort of thing. But anyway, so I get into this job, and the next thing you know, the sheriff of Williamson County is being arrested for some illegal use of drugs or something like that. So yeah, I got indoctrinated really quick to Williamson County with that story. I would say that's probably still the biggest story since I've been there, and it was like in the first year. I don't know what year that was, but it seemed like it was the first year that I was here. And man, did I learn a lot about Williamson County really fast. Next thing you know, I had R.C. Alexander not really asking me to go to meet with him. He was telling me that I'm going to have dinner with him at Sperry's so we can have a Ricky Headley powwow, how to best support him. And I kind of saw at that time how small town influencers, business people trying to influence the local news on how they cover a certain story really fast. So it was really interesting. It was very eye-opening. I learned a lot about Williamson County, learned a lot about running a small local newspaper on the spot. That was really, really interesting time. But I will say the flood as well, and I give Mindy a lot of credit. I think she covered the flood.
From my couch, because I was trapped in my house.
She
Oh well.
took her boat from her house to the office. I was really, really proud of our team, and Mindy at the time was leading the team on our coverage of the floods, and that was one of those things that just experiencing how we covered it, how it affected the community was really, really impactful. So those are really the two stories I would say off the top of my head.
I'm gonna respond, and then I'm gonna ask another question, because I want to say, as Tom mentioned, these people are business people. They run a business, and news is, as someone else said, can be emotional, or covering someone's wedding is a very emotional project or program. And I would say that I want to ask Tom to speak maybe about, this used to be a much more competitive market there was the review appeal, there was the Tennesseans, Williamson AM section, there was the great late newsman Charles Dibbrell, who loved to be on the scene wherever the news was happening, whether it was a wreck, a fire, or whatever. There was a lot more competition than there is now. So I guess I would ask about how social media has changed your coverage and how it affects competition, and then also how do you continue just to build those relationships and look for people to know about your media outlets? Do you have a great Charles Dibbrell story, or?
None that I can tell. Bless his heart. Charles was a great news person. He just went to the doctor one day and died. That's kind of the way you do it. But he just went to the doctor and died. But he threw his life at the news. And yes, Charles has been gone now 7 or 8 years, maybe. No, maybe not that long.
6.
But the news doesn't change. It can be very, very personal. When Charles Dibbrell came on board with us a long time ago, Charles was 75 when he passed away. Franklin was a different town. There was one fire hall on Franklin's town square. There were 2 Franklin City police officers, and they went home at 4 o'clock. Franklin topped out maybe 10 or 11,000 people in the 1960s. The Franklin Theater was the place to be. When you start in the media and you start reporting about that sheriff, you have to report the facts, and you have to have it confirmed 3 times over, or you're in trouble. But if it's the truth, you report it. If you lose ad dollars because of that, that's regrettable. And we've lost some, but we got them back because people knew that we were going to be consistent. And the fellow that Derby mentioned, wonderful man, probably spent, between everybody on this table, spent millions, but he was used to having his way. And if he didn't have his way permanently, he'd have his way temporarily. And there are quite a few people like that. Some politicians are like that. But when we don't report so much politics very much anymore outside of the final numbers. We find the Williamson County Election Commission to be perfectly trustable. Their numbers are 100% on. So you can trust those numbers. Just like, hope you can trust Williamson Herald, WAKM, even the bridal magazines. I read I read your magazine because I want to know who's advertising in your magazine. It ain't advertising with me.
Some friendly competition up here. But we are all friends and have been working together for a long, long time, which I think is a unique aspect of the media here in Williamson County, at least as it's represented at this table. We are all friends. We all look for ways to work together and complement one another. Of course, from the business side, there's competition for ad dollars all around. But at the same time, there's plenty of ad business to go around in Williamson County, and I think this table works together really well to that end. I'm trying to get back to the question, but I don't. From a news perspective, I did want to say, because I had to think about that, we don't really do breaking news, obviously, But one of the cooler things that my staff got to do last fall was, and I guess it was sort of breaking news and then it didn't break and it kind of dried out a little bit, but we somewhat broke the story about Luke and Caroline Bryan chairing the capital campaign for Williamson Medical Center that's going on right now, and we had the opportunity to meet with them, interview them in their home, and photograph them for the magazine last fall, and then subsequently that news came out this spring, and so we're excited about that for the hospital and for our community. But to talk about celebrities in our community, which is something that our publication and Southern Exposure do a little bit more coverage of from the lifestyle and social aspect, but those people in our community, like Michael Orr, who is on the cover of this month's magazine. Kathy Lee was on the cover a few months ago, but people like that who are celebrities and live here, and we have a lot of them, but they come here because they're not treated like celebrities, they're treated like normal people, and I think that's a great thing about Williamson County, because then we get those real stories about what those people are doing, and as every nonprofit in this community knows, the celebrities that we're blessed to have in our community are making such a difference to great organizations and nonprofits and fundraising events here. So it's a great privilege to be able to showcase those people in our magazine and tell their stories. So it's not just about, gossip or, I don't know, ugly news, trashy news. We're telling real stories about real people who are raising their families here just like we are, and doing great things. So that's our breaking news, I guess.
And Donna, Williamson Source is part of a sort of a larger umbrella of Empower Local, and so you might talk about how you work those things together, how the information that y'all are putting out appeals to who's coming here.
Yes, so we do have Williamson Source, and then we have 7 other counties, and somebody's going to probably be chiming in saying you forgot one, but like Wilson, Maury, Davidson, Sumner, Cheatham. And so, a lot of those places, and we made the decision in the beginning to cover some things in Nashville because we think people in Franklin go to the CMA Fest, or people in Franklin attend shows in Nashville, because how can you not attend a show at the Ryman? Because that is like one of the most incredible places to see a concert. And anytime I can go there, I will definitely go there. And so that's kind of part of our thing. We all work that together. I would say breaking, mine is not as exciting as theirs, but you guys really like food. Anytime we can tell you about a new restaurant, and if somehow somebody tips us off, you are all over that, and that is probably one of our biggest stories. Anytime that we can do that. As far as social media, we probably utilize social media a lot. Like I said, we do the Facebook Lives, and we're always pushing out a lot of stories all day long on social. So if you don't get to the website, you'll probably see it in your Facebook feed, or you'll see things on our Instagram. We have a lot of features that people like Photo of the Day, which you're happy to submit a photo. We love sharing those. So I think that's been a big part of what we do and how we engage people in the community.
So starting back down here with Derby and Cassie, how does someone submit a this is a question that's always important to ask. How does someone submit a press release or contact you about their event or a story idea for everyone here? And how do they follow up without being a pest or a problem? Go ahead.
Before we move on to that question, I just wanted to quickly say with the magazine, it's not breaking news, but I do think that, Shelley, you can attest to this, putting out a magazine either every other month or each month is it's kind of like it's your baby. So we certainly have issues that we're, a little more proud of than others, or just that stand out in our minds. And so, obviously, like she said, I've had the opportunity to have Dolly on the cover. I've had Keith Urban on the cover. Those are big moments, and those are things that you're proud of. But I would say one of the issues that I'm most proud of is I had an opportunity in this last February during Black History Month to highlight 5 women in the community: Alma McLemore, Doris McMillan, Thelma Battle, Monique McCullough, and Mary Mills, who are just really prominent Black women in the community that have just been such a part of the fabric, that have done so much, and that I felt like needed to be honored and recognized. And so that was a really proud moment for me. I had another magazine where the farmers market partnered with Ukrainians in the community during everything they were going through, and they kind of had a Ukraine Day, and they celebrated them. They held up the Ukraine flag alongside the American flag. So those are issues that as I think I look back on my career, I will be proud to have captured those moments in time. So anyway, that answers that. And moving on to the press release, you know, sometimes it doesn't have to be super fancy. People come to us all the time. Josh Vardaman, our content managing editor, could probably answer this better than Derby and I to some degree. But, you know, people ask us all the time, how do I submit it? How do I get that information? It's important to us we just get the information. It's better if it's cohesive and it has all the details. But the most important thing is just the who, what, when, and where, and we can kind of go from there. But it is, the easier you make it on us by getting us the information that we need, the easier we can help you get the word out. If we have to start from scratch and do a lot of digging, it's going to be a little bit more cumbersome and more difficult for us to get it out for you, and especially if it's past deadline or on deadline. If you get it to us in advance, we're happy to try to help promote your business or your event and get the word out for you. But Derby might have some other thoughts.
Yes, I didn't introduce our content editor, Josh Vardaman, is here this morning. Thank you, Josh, for being here. We call him Oz because you don't see him out much, but he's behind the curtain and doing a lot of work behind there, posting a lot. Josh could probably talk about the how to get the press releases in and how he would like to see them. We get bombarded with press releases, just so you know. If you don't hear from us, you may want to follow up with us and say, hey, did you get the press release? I got some people that will send it, and then an hour later, hey, I haven't heard from you. Did you get the press release? And then an hour later, I still haven't heard from you. Did you get that press release? So you don't have to go that crazy about it, but yeah, just if you send it to contact that goes to like 3 or 4 different emails. But if you send it to web ad or news editor, I mean, we've got it set up to where they at least go to somebody, but they do get buried. We get a lot of press releases, and we do appreciate the press releases. And so yeah, keep sending them. But one thing I was going to say with being in the news business, I've learned that I get a lot of my news leads from Hometown Radio Show. So I listen to Tom Lawrence every week, and I usually learn something every show. And I'll say the week before last, Tom was talking, and he had mentioned that Cool Cafe was closing. I did not know that Cool Cafe was closing, so I immediately texted my reporter. I said, hey, I need you to get on this. So technically Tom broke it, but we got that story out, and of course, you know, that was big news day for us, you know, Cool Cafe and Franklin closing. But that's the beauty of a small town, I guess, when everybody's favorite restaurant closes down. But anyway, so we were able to get that out, and we beat the Tennessean, we beat the Homepage, we beat a lot of other competitors because I was listening to Tom Lawrence. I hate to give my competition that information, and I hope they're not listening, but I do. Like, I'll use another example as my reporter, Colin Bowen's like, you know, I can't ever get Carol Birdsong to call me back. You know, I've got a question for Jason Golden. I said, well, you need to listen to the Hometown Radio Show because they've got to deal with the schools, and I get more information from Jason Golden just listening to that Hometown Radio Show. So sure enough, Coleman went and visited the Hometown Radio Show. I'm not sure if Carol appreciated that or not, but he was able to get some questions answered just because he had heard Jason Golden on the Hometown Radio Show, and we were able to have access to him. So I don't think that was really a question that anybody answered. I just wanted to tell that.
So, and Shelley, how does someone submit to you?
info@yourwilliamson. And yes, we get lots and lots of press releases, but we really try to do something with anything that we get that's community related, whether it's posting on social media at that moment or in our e-blast that runs throughout the week or turns into a story that goes into print. So definitely send and follow up. Please follow up. I have multiple people I try to delegate to, so there's always someone available to talk to if you call the office, but just follow up. We'll get it in there.
Donna, y'all are info@Williamson Source?
Info@Williamson Source.
And Tom, this legendary morning radio show, what in the world is that? When's it on AM 950?
plumbers to presidents. And that's a line from the Williamson Herald. They did a piece on the Hometown Radio Show. First of all, let me emphasize that everybody up here, we have an agreement. Nobody's ever violated that agreement. It's not important to get it first. It's important to get it right. So the radio station every now and then is able to break a news story. Every blind hog finds an acorn every now and then, don't they, Tony? But we read the Herald. We read every publication in Williamson County. I read 3 newspapers a day. I read what's online with the Herald. I do read the Tennessean. It takes less and less time to read it. And I read the Wall Street Journal. So that one's not much fun these days either. But the Hometown Radio Show has been, I've been able to make some very good friends. There's one lady. Williamson County has 2 billionaires, you know. One lives in Franklin, the other lives in Brentwood. The one in Brentwood lives out off Crockett Road. She came here in 1966. She got off the bus, and she moved here from Sevierville to make it big in the music business. And she came to the radio station, hawking a record. She lived with a pair of old, I'm sorry to put it this way, but they older than 70 at the time, 2 Grand Ole Opry stars, Carl and Pearl Butler. And Dolly Parton just sat with me on a Friday morning and just sang her heart out. Used to be this nurse from Williamson Medical Center. She'd bring her 16-year-old daughter, and they would pick and sing with me, and I thought, man, these people sound good. Naomi and Winona. And they made it. That first one we talked about, she's kind of made it. I guess she is the most recognizable Williamson Countian of them all. But if you look closely, on a Saturday morning, if you will go to Main Street or to Cool Springs, you'll see this old ragamuffin Jeep driven by this redneck man. I mean, he is a redneck. And you see this short little girl riding with him. She won't have her wig on, but you'll recognize the face. And they're out in the community right often. I won't tell you what drugstore they go to, but they get their own prescriptions, let's put it that way.
So I want to wrap up by asking you a question. It's great to have a large group of people here today, but this is a question I had sent to you last week. What's the future of the media locally? And more importantly, how is it impacted by the national landscape and the divisive existence in our community? And those who cover news may want to have more of a feel on that, but in such a divisive and polarizing society these days, how do you work to keep bias out of what you're reporting in your media?
That's a lot of questions in one. Mindy?
What's the future then?
Well, I think I do believe that the future is good for local media because of what you just said. With the national media, I think people do get tired of all the negative news. They get tired of the bias on whatever side of the aisle you're on, of the networks they watch or the papers they read. I will say during COVID, we had a really huge surge in subscriptions. And I was just like any small business, we're worried whether we're going to be able to stay in business. And yeah, we saw a significant advertising drop, but we saw a significant rise in readership online and paid subscriptions, which was, very heartfelt.
Paid subscriptions, paid. subscriptions. They're,
Yes, thank you.
Paid
Thank
subscriptions.
you. So yeah, so I think, and this is a great community that supports local businesses. I feel very strongly that Williamson County will continue on with that. It is getting harder. There's more competition. The social media aspect of it is challenging, for sure. You know, like Tom says, you know, the bulk of the local politicians are not advertising with us. We are getting some, but most of them are running on Facebook. They're running on TV and they're doing mailers. So, you know, it is a challenge to get past that perception that print is dead. And it's a challenge. But I do think people have an appreciation for print. We'll obviously going to reach a little bit older demographics with what we do, but that's all right because this is a growing older demographic community. So I think the demographics are actually really good for this community. So, next.
I'll just speak to what Mindy said about, you know, social media and the role it plays. And unfortunately for us, you know, we're working really hard, all of us up here on this panel, to put out accurate news. We're trying to make sure we get it right. And unfortunately, in the world today, you know, there's so much information being disseminated on social media that's just incorrect. But and so that's a challenge for us. And then we've also, you know, people are really brave on a social media account. You know, they don't recognize when they're on our Facebook page and they're critical of something that we wrote that if they're attacking the paper, they're attacking Derby and I. So it can feel a little personal sometimes, but professionally you've got to separate that. We actually try to have other staff members or the reporter respond to the article versus he and I, because, you know, we know so many people in the community. We don't want to get into an argument on Facebook, but it has presented a real challenge for us, and I think some of it too is just people don't necessarily know how the news business works. I mean, we work hard to get it right. We do check sources and we fact check, you know, three and more times before we put something out there. So so I would say that just presents a real challenge for us. But I think at the end of the day, we just keep our heads down. We keep reporting the news in the most fair and balanced way we can. We celebrate local and community, and we really do think that people have been very open to local media. I feel like there is a trust factor that people in the community have with us versus what they're seeing on a national level, and I think that we're all very proud of that.
You called it a business, the news business, and it sure is that. We're so privileged to be here. But young people don't read anymore. Derby said print is dead. You know, he quoted somebody saying print is dead. Those very same people 20 years ago were saying God's dead. I don't think so. You know, from that standpoint, intelligent people read. Intelligent people listen to different opinions. They may not agree, but they will listen to different opinions. Our country is based on different opinions. Now, we've taken it way too far. There are factions in Williamson County that would have Williamson County just as divided as the United States is. Don't pay attention to them. We live in heaven, and if we don't take care of it, we'll lose it.
The future of print or media. I don't think print is dead, obviously. I love print, even though we spend a considerable amount of time online now to meet the needs of readers who want to get things online or learn things online, and that's fine because that's media too, and it's very important to our brand to be online. But the print product and niche magazines actually are growing in popularity and growing in strength revenue-wise in the last few years, surprisingly, even since COVID. So we are just going to keep moving forward. We're actually growing our brand now and moving into other communities as well with the product. So we're here to stay and we're not going anywhere. And as long as we have readers like you all, I think that will be true for all of us up here. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree. Local, I would think, is still important. Like I said, we all do something a little bit different. So it's kind of like, what flavor do you want today? And we offer you something a little bit different. So I certainly hope it's not going anywhere, but I don't see it going anywhere. As far as nationally, I think sometimes we will take a national story and try to give you like a local, like this isn't really happening locally, but this is nationally what they're saying is happening. And so many times the story here locally is completely different. So that's something that we try to do.
So thank our panel this morning, and I think they'll have a little time if you have some questions for them personally. Thank you so much to everyone. So we want to just remind you about a few things that are going on, and this is a big thing for Franklin tomorrow. We will be celebrating 22 in 22, our 22nd anniversary. Yes, we meant to do this in 2020, but there was this little thing that kept us from getting a bunch of people together and doing this called a pandemic. But our event will be Saturday, July 30th. It's dinner on Main Street, and on Main Street means inside Jameson Hall, but we hope to recreate the ambiance and feeling of being there, and we're appreciative to CapWealth for being our sponsor. Tickets are $150. You can get a person, you can get those today, and I can tell you that I think if you look at the invitation, which many of you received, we will be using art and other types of projection and other opportunities to recreate that feeling of having dinner on Main Street, but in the air conditioning, like that Renaissance commercial earlier, because who wants to be outside if it's 98 degrees? I don't, personally. But we look forward to that. But prior to that, we've got Breakfast with the Mayors on July 26th at Rolling Hills Community Church, and we will have Jason Golden from the Williamson County Schools and Dr. David Stone from Franklin Special Schools talking about the challenges facing education right now. And that is free and open to the public, and you can go to our website, Franklin Tomorrow, to RSVP. Also want to remind you that early voting starts July 15th for the August 4th state primary, county general election, and there are school board elections on there as well, so please be mindful of that, but early voting starts on July 15th. And don't forget, this handy-dandy fan you had today tells you about the Williamson Medical Center event on July 19th. But a lot going on, and you can find that on our website, franklintomorrow.org, or follow us on social media as well. Here are those. And we also, right now, July is the anniversary of the first month that the historic Franklin license plate came out, I believe 11 or 12 years ago. So this is a renewal time for many people who have one that is under 1,005. If your number is less than 1,005, you are among the original group to have a plate. I'm 345. But for the first year, I was 666 because somebody had to take that number, and it was me. And I always tell a funny story that I went the second year to Miss Anderson, who was the county clerk, and I said, Miss Elaine, I've got 666. I wonder if somebody didn't pick theirs up. And she laughed. She said, girl, I normally throw that one away. I don't know why you worried about it. But I had driven around for 666 for a year, so that was kind of fun. But we really appreciate the hospitality of Columbia State Community College, and Mary Beth is here. If you want to take a tour of the campus, she's happy to do that. Remember, second Monday of the month for Frank Talks, but we hope to see you later this month at either Breakfast with the Mayors and or at our anniversary event. But thanks, go out and make it a great day and make a difference in our community. Thanks so much.